Think Earth is dangerous? Jupiter makes our worst natural disasters look like child's play. Right now, you're standing on a planet where blue skies and breathable air keep you alive without a second thought. But what if I told you there's a place in our solar system where just being there for 3 seconds would crush, vaporize, and tear you apart in ways your body could never prepare for? And no, this isn't sci-fi. It's very real, very terrifying, and today we're diving straight into the heart of it. Welcome to Jupiter, a swirling monster of gas, storms, and gravity so powerful it bends the rules of physics. You've probably looked up and seen that bright dot in the night sky and thought, wow, that's beautiful. But what if I told you that beneath that beauty hides a death trap unlike anything you can imagine? Stay with me, because in this video we're not just talking science. We're unraveling a survival nightmare that no human has ever faced and lived to tell the tale. Now I know you didn't click on this video by accident. You came here with a question. Why exactly can't we survive even 3 seconds on Jupiter? And I promise you're going to get the answer, and not just some textbook explanation. I'm taking you deeper, step by step, into the forces, the atmosphere, and the chilling truths NASA knows all too well. But I need you to stay with me, because if you miss even a second, you'll miss the clues that unlock Jupiter's darkest secrets. You and I, we're going on this journey together. Think of me as your guide through this cosmic horror, translating the cold, hard space facts into something real, something visceral, something you can feel in your chest. And if you've ever looked at the stars and wondered what's out there, this is the video you've been waiting for. We'll meet the monsters of Jupiter's atmosphere. No, not aliens, but forces of nature so intense they act like living beings. We'll explore why your body would be shredded before you even knew you were dead, and what the planet's insane gravity would do to your bones, your lungs, your mind. It's not just the pressure, or the temperature, or the chemicals. It's all of it, at once. A deadly cocktail brewed for billions of years, waiting for anything foolish enough to come close. So buckle up, because this isn't just a space documentary. It's a survival story you're about to lose, and you're the main character. But there's something even stranger, something hidden deep in Jupiter's core that scientists still don't fully understand. And it might just be the most horrifying reason of all. Ready to find out what it is? Then don't go anywhere. As we move deeper into the mystery of Jupiter, it's crucial to understand just how immense and terrifying this planet truly is. Jupiter isn't just the biggest planet in our solar system. It's a giant, a behemoth of unimaginable scale, and it's always been there, looming in the sky, a symbol of mystery and power. Its mass is 318 times greater than Earth's, and its gravity is so intense that it can influence the orbits of the entire solar system. But that's just the beginning of the horror story. If you've ever wondered how such a giant could sustain itself, how it keeps its magnetic field in place, or what lies beneath its thick clouds, then you're already starting to scratch the surface of the nightmare. Let's take a step back and look at the first discoveries humans made when we started sending probes into Jupiter's atmosphere. The first major mission, Pioneer 10, launched in the 1970s, revealed that Jupiter wasn't what scientists had expected. At the time, it was thought of as just a giant ball of gas, with no real structure, nothing to define its terrifying immensity. But as the spacecraft sent back data, it revealed something far more sinister. Jupiter's atmosphere, made of hydrogen, helium, and a mix of other elements, is anything but calm. Beneath those swirling clouds, the pressure, the temperature, and the storm systems are so extreme that nothing could survive. Not a human, not even the toughest robot we've sent out there. Yet, there's something else that makes Jupiter even more terrifying. A hidden, unseen force that even the brightest scientists can't yet explain. And that brings us to the most terrifying part of this story. The Great Red Spot. This isn't just a storm. It's a storm that's been raging for centuries, maybe even millennia. If Earth had a storm that lasted for just a year, we'd be terrified. But on Jupiter, This massive hurricane-like system has been swirling for over 400 years, and it's still going strong. Imagine a storm large enough to swallow 3 Earths, spinning at hundreds of miles per hour, with winds that could tear through any ship or spacecraft. This storm's existence is one of the many reasons why no human could survive on Jupiter. But even more unsettling is the fact that scientists aren't entirely sure why the Great Red Spot has lasted so long, or why it hasn't dissipated. It's one of those cosmic mysteries that, instead of offering comfort, only deepens the enigma surrounding Jupiter's death grip on any potential visitor. Now think about the gravity. Jupiter's gravitational pull is so intense that even a brief approach would be enough to tear apart any spacecraft, shatter its components, and pull it down into the planet's deep, crushing atmosphere. And yet, it doesn't stop there. If you could somehow survive the outer layers, pushing through the gases and entering the planet's core, you would be subjected to pressure beyond imagination. Earth's atmospheric pressure is already enough to crush anything without protection, but Jupiter's pressure grows exponentially as you descend deeper, with the crushing force of 1,000 atmospheres. At that depth, any human body would be reduced to nothing more than a pile of molecules. But it's not just the physical forces that would annihilate you. It's the unknowns that surround Jupiter. Scientists are still studying the planet's atmosphere, its magnetic field, and its composition. They know Jupiter has a powerful magnetic field, hundreds of times stronger than Earth's, but the full extent of its capabilities remains a mystery. What we do know is that this field interacts with charged particles in a way that generates deadly radiation. In fact, any spacecraft that ventures too close to Jupiter faces the constant threat of radiation poisoning, and no astronaut could survive prolonged exposure. The radiation belts around Jupiter are so intense that they would fry any human, obliterating their body in a matter of minutes. Yet, for all its terror, there's a certain allure to Jupiter. It's one of the few places in the universe that holds answers to questions we don't yet know how to ask. Some scientists speculate that Jupiter could hold the key to understanding the origins of the solar system, the formation of planets, and even the potential for life elsewhere in the cosmos. But that's the cruel irony. Jupiter may hold the secrets to everything we seek to understand, and yet it remains so hostile that no one can get close enough to truly decipher those mysteries. We want to know what lies beneath its clouds, what makes it tick, what the true nature of the planet is. But each attempt to unveil those secrets comes at an unimaginable cost. Jupiter's mysteries are trapped, locked away behind an atmosphere of death and danger. And for all our technological advances, we still find ourselves helpless in its grasp. But as we delve further into the core of Jupiter's enigma, we'll uncover something even more unsettling. Something hidden so deep that no probe, no satellite, no human mind could ever fully grasp it. It's not just the Great Red Spot, the gravity, or the radiation. It's what lies beyond that. Something that's been quietly waiting, hidden in the shadows of Jupiter's storm clouds. Something that could change everything we think we know about this deadly planet. But before I share what that is, I need you to understand this. What we're about to uncover isn't just a scientific fact. It's a terrifying realization that might just be the reason why humans can never set foot on Jupiter. And it's something that might make you reconsider everything you thought you knew about space exploration. So, are you ready for the truth? The answer to the question you've been wondering about since the beginning. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could change the way we see Jupiter forever. As the data from NASA's Juno probe continued to stream in, scientists began to notice anomalies that defied every model and simulation they'd constructed. Signals were bouncing back with strange inconsistencies, patterns that didn't follow the expected magnetic flux or particle behavior. The probe's sensors, designed to withstand intense radiation, began registering bursts of energy, unlike anything recorded before. Bursts that seemed to echo from deep within Jupiter's core and then disappear without a trace. At first, the anomalies were brushed off as calibration errors. But when the same patterns appeared again and again, and other deep space satellites picked up similar signals from the far side of the planet, concerns started to rise in hushed whispers across labs at NASA, ESA, and other global space agencies. Behind closed doors, analysts were calling them pulse signatures, though no one was willing to say what they believed was causing them. What kind of pulse could originate from a place no known substance could exist in a solid state? At the same time, an independent team of astrophysicists from a private space research group in Colorado was running simulations on Jupiter's magnetic field for an unrelated study on exoplanets. They had no idea their model would pick up something extraordinary. By mapping years of radiation data across 3 dimensions, they noticed an inconsistency, a repeating formation that looked almost artificial in nature. At first they thought it was a glitch, but when they layered more data sets over it, from Voyager, Cassini, Galileo, they saw the same structure emerge, a geometric pattern embedded within the chaos of Jupiter's radiation field. Something that should not exist in a planet's natural magnetic fluctuations. Something that looked designed. They didn't go public immediately. Instead, they cross-checked, verified, brought in external astrophysicists. And the more minds they brought in, the more agreed. This wasn't just noise. This was a signature. Meanwhile, aboard the International Space Station, Commander Ortiz had been tracking radiation interference affecting comms. Though far from Jupiter's path, the ISS instruments began picking up faint energy spikes during Jupiter's opposition, a rare time when Earth and Jupiter aligned directly with the Sun. What was chilling was that the spikes were in sync with the pulse data from Juno. And this time, the interference wasn't limited to sensors. It affected onboard electronics. Computers rebooted on their own. One astronaut's suit diagnostics went haywire during an EVA, despite being on the other side of Earth. It was almost as if Jupiter was reaching out, touching everything linked to it, no matter how far. Ortiz didn't buy into conspiracies, but she knew enough to recognize when something wasn't just a tech glitch. Her logs, flagged and sent through encrypted channels, were never publicly acknowledged, but privately, her reports added to the growing unease within Global Space Command. Down on Earth, the public still marveled at the gorgeous images Juno transmitted. Hypnotic swirls of orange, cream, red, and violet dancing like an oil painting on fire. Social media trended with hashtags like "Our Jupiter Storm" and "Our Gas Giant Beauty," while YouTube videos showcasing 4K visualizations racked up millions of views. But behind that beauty was growing dread. The scientists closest to the data stopped appearing on camera. Interviews were canceled, conferences were postponed, and those who did speak used vague, evasive language that only stirred more rumors. People began to ask, what are they not telling us about Jupiter? Back in Colorado, the private team made a bold decision. They reached out to a journalist with a background in astrophysics, someone who'd once worked with NASA before walking away from the bureaucratic maze. He had a YouTube channel, small but fiercely followed, and he wasn't afraid to push boundaries. When he received the encrypted files, he didn't dismiss them. He poured through the radiation models, the geometry overlays, and the repeating pulses, and then he made a video. Not sensational, but chillingly calm. He posed the question that would rock the internet. What if Jupiter isn't just a planet? Not that it was an alien base or some wild sci-fi fantasy, but something older, deeper, something that responds. The video exploded across trending pages. Jupiter Responds hit #1 within hours. Reddit lit up. Podcasts speculated. Scientists went dark. Suddenly, the whole world was watching Jupiter again, but this time not in awe, in fear. Then came the twist. Juno, long overdue for scheduled deorbit into Jupiter's atmosphere, went silent. No warning, no mechanical errors, just silence. The final transmission wasn't a data packet, but an audio file, a compressed signal. Buried deep in the probe's comms buffer. NASA didn't release it, but it leaked, and once decoded, it wasn't just static, it was rhythmic, repeating, almost like a code. And then, unmistakably, a pattern emerged, something like a heartbeat. Not human, Not machine, but slow, deliberate, massive. It pulsed with an energy that scientists described as unnaturally regular, and layered beneath it, barely audible through the filtered static, a sound, a deep, resonant tone that no one could explain. It didn't sound like a machine. It sounded like a voice. From there, everything changed. Debates raged over whether the signal was natural, a glitch, or something else entirely. But the pressure from the public became too great. NASA held a press conference but provided no answers, only more questions. They stated the probe had completed its mission but couldn't explain the final audio. When pushed, officials cited ongoing analysis. But for those who had been watching closely, the physicists, the rogue researchers, the former NASA insiders, it was clear. They knew more than they were saying. At the same time, strange phenomena began occurring across Earth. Tides shifting subtly off pattern, migratory birds flying erratically, deep-sea communication networks experiencing temporary interference. These were things that had no direct tie to Jupiter, but the timing was too perfect. Every anomaly spiked when Jupiter was high in the sky, as if the planet's growing influence was reaching Earth in invisible waves. Scientists called it coincidence. Others called it a warning. But just as the world started coming to terms with the mystery, a new pulse was detected, stronger, closer, and this time it came with coordinates, not random, but pointing directly at Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon. What no one expected was what the satellite imagery revealed, something large moving beneath Ganymede's icy crust, something emitting heat, something that wasn't there before. The race began. Space agencies scrambled, private companies accelerated, moon probe launches. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was there something alive beneath Ganymede's surface? Could it be connected to the pulse? Was Jupiter simply a cover for something far more intelligent, ancient, and deliberate than anything Earth had ever known? And if so, why now? And just when you think it couldn't get any stranger, one last encrypted message was uncovered in the Juno logs, translated from pulse code into plain text by a quantum AI prototype still in development. The translation was short, but clear. It read, "You are not ready," and the screen went black. Now the question isn't just whether we can survive Jupiter. It's whether we should have ever looked at it in the first place. The tension had been building for weeks, growing like an invisible storm on the horizon, and now it felt as if everything was on the brink of collapse. Across the globe, scientists, government officials, and ordinary people were fixated on Jupiter, Ganymede, and the strange pulse that had begun to shake the foundations of what humanity knew about the universe. The world's eyes were trained on the unknown, and as the clock ticked down, it seemed like only one thing was certain: something was about to break. The private team in Colorado, the journalists, and a growing network of independent researchers were now united by a singular mission. They had uncovered an encrypted signal buried deep within the anomaly, a message, or perhaps a warning. The message wasn't just human or alien, it was something else entirely, something much older, like a remnant of a forgotten race or an intelligence that had been watching for millennia. They decoded it bit by bit, working through each layer of encrypted data. What they found in the final message sent chills down their spines. "We will meet you at the threshold, but only if you are ready." A sense of dread filled the air as news outlets began reporting on the implications of the message. Was this a cryptic warning, a call to arms, or something far more sinister? Everyone who had studied the signals had come to the same conclusion. It wasn't just a warning. It was an invitation to something unimaginable, something that was waiting on Ganymede. A team of astronauts, researchers, and the best minds from NASA and private aerospace companies were assembled. They had to act, and they had to act fast. The clock was ticking. Every signal, every movement, everything pointed to one single truth. The pulse wasn't just some cosmic fluke. It was a countdown. On the ground, global leaders, military forces, and scientists scrambled to prepare for a mission of unparalleled scale. A multi-agency space operation was launched with one goal: reach Ganymede and find out what lay beneath the moon's icy surface before the unknown forces could act first. The world was on edge, and the pressure mounted with each passing day. As the first ship launched, the final piece of the puzzle began to reveal itself. The anomaly wasn't coming from within Jupiter, nor was it coming from deep space. It was emanating from Ganymede's core, a core that, for the first time in recorded history, was registering extreme heat readings. Something, or someone, had activated it, and as the world watched, millions held their breath, waiting for the truth to unfold. But when the mission team arrived on Ganymede, what they found shattered everything they knew. Beneath the surface, buried in a cavern of ice and rock, was a massive structure. It was neither alien nor human. It was something other, ancient, enormous, and perfectly intact, as if untouched by the passage of time. The structure was vast, larger than any Earth-made space station, and its purpose was unclear. But as the team descended into its depths, they encountered something even more perplexing. Holographic projections that depicted a civilization far older than anything humanity had ever imagined. Images flashed before them, showing a race of beings who once roamed the galaxy, long before humanity had even taken its first steps. They were not merely observers of the stars. They were the architects of life itself. The structure's central chamber was the final revelation. It was there that the team discovered the truth behind the signal. It wasn't a message from an alien race. It wasn't a warning. It was a test. The structure had been designed to evaluate the readiness of emerging civilizations, like humanity, for an event known as the Crossing. This event wasn't a cataclysmic event or a war. It was a threshold, a meeting point between worlds, where species capable of reaching this point would be invited to join the galactic community, to unlock secrets far beyond human comprehension. But there was a twist. The crossing was not an opportunity that could be freely seized. It was a choice, and it came with a catch. One civilization had to prove it was worthy of joining this higher order, a civilization that demonstrated inner strength, resilience, and the capacity to protect and evolve beyond its own limitations. The test had been going on for thousands of years, observing countless civilizations, waiting for the right moment to present itself to a species brave enough to face the trials ahead. And now, that moment had arrived. The pulse, the signals, the anomalies, they were all part of the test. The question was no longer whether humanity could survive Jupiter's radiation, but whether humanity was ready to embrace what lay beyond the stars. As the crew delved deeper into the secrets of the ancient structure, they found the answer to the last mystery. The energy pulses they had been detecting were not random. They were part of an activation process, a mechanism designed to awaken the ancient systems and allow a worthy civilization to access its knowledge. Humanity had passed the test, but what would come next was up to them. The structures on Ganymede were just the beginning. The true challenge lay ahead. The final message, decoded and transmitted back to Earth, was simple but profound. You are ready. The threshold is open. Come if you dare. But just as the world began to process this monumental revelation, something unexpected happened. The ancient structure began to collapse, as if the test was now complete. The energy systems that had powered it for millennia were shutting down, and the team was racing against time to escape. But as they fled, they saw something they weren't prepared for. Another pulse, this one far stronger, far more intense, radiating outward from Ganymede. The signal wasn't meant for them. It wasn't even meant for Earth. It was meant for something else, something older, something far more powerful. And as the pulse expanded across the galaxy, they realized one chilling truth. Humanity wasn't the only species to pass the test. Out there, beyond the stars, other civilizations were waiting. And the threshold wasn't just a door. It was a gate to a cosmic war. In that final, heart-stopping moment, the crew realized the true nature of the invitation. The crossing was just the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of inner strength and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never forget your worth.